Hello. If you're a regular of mine, you'll know what this is. But I've been picking up lots of new subscribers over the last 12 months. They've not seen these before, and they all ask the same questions, and I try to answer them, every single one. But I thought, well, why not make a video that answers all the usual questions, so that when I'm asked that question again, I can simply give them a link to the video. So that's the reason I'm making this video today, to try and answer all the questions about these buckets that I get from people that come to the site. First question usually is, where do you get your buckets? Where did you get them? Well, these buckets are ex-cut flower water buckets, and I get these from Morrison's. But any florist, anyone that's selling cut flowers, will probably be using these type of buckets, and I got mine for next to nothing, and in fact I've had some of them for nothing. So there's minimal cost in these ex-cut flower water buckets. And the next question I usually get is, well, what are the dimensions? How big are they? Okay, so these buckets are 10-inch diameter across the top. They're 10 inches tall, and they hold 10 litres. Now, when I originally got these as water buckets, clearly if they were meant to hold water, they didn't have holes in them. And normally when I'm showing these buckets, they've got something planted in them, so it isn't obvious that they have drainage holes in them. So another question would be, have they got drainage holes in them? Well, I hope you can see, but yes, they have. They've got 4 drainage holes in the bottom that I put in there. And the next question is, well, how did you put those holes in? How do you do it? Well, I'm going to cut you to a video shortly that I shot a few years ago. It shows how I did it. There'll be other ways of doing it, but this way works for me. And one of the problems I had when I first got these buckets was, when I was putting the holes in the bottom, quite often the bottom would split, because obviously these buckets are not meant to be drilled. They're fairly lightweight. But I found a way of avoiding that, and so I thought I would share it with you in a video, and we'll go to that video shortly. The holes, by the way, the 4 of them, they're about 1/4 of an inch diameter, but that just happened to be the drill that was handy at the time, I suppose. Slightly bigger, slightly smaller, and in any configuration, and if you so choose, you can possibly put some round the sides. It's entirely up to you, but I'm showing you how I do it today. You may do it differently, you may choose to do it differently. Having explained the dimensions and where I got the buckets from, the next question is normally, well, can I grow such and such a vegetable? Will this vegetable grow? Have you ever grown that vegetable in your buckets? Well, the answer to that question is simple, really. If you've got a climate similar to the climate that I'm growing in here at the UK, then whatever I grow, you can grow. Whatever I grow, you can grow. I'll tell you what I've grown in these buckets, shall I? Okay. I've grown beetroot, lettuce, kale, carrots, celery, tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, shallots, leeks, parsnips, potatoes, strawberries, sweet corn, and on and on and on and on. Was I too fast for you? I was nearly too fast for myself. Blimey. Okay then. Well, check this out. This is a bit more leisurely and some nice music to listen to. that. Now I've got to admit now that some of the vegetables that I've grown in these buckets haven't quite made it for various reasons. Usually the weather, not the constraints of the bucket, usually the weather. Usually too wet, too cold, too windy. Okay, but most vegetables grown in these buckets make it to harvest time. Yeah, they definitely do, and there's videos on the channel that'll prove that. Okay, let's cut to that video now. Let me show you how I put holes in the bottom of these water buckets. This is a stack of buckets I'm going to be drilling today. I want to show you this trick before we go any further. You may find that when you stack these buckets one inside the other, they are quite a tight fit, and they sometimes get wedged one inside the other and you can't part them. Watch this. Parted, 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 parted. How easy is that? They haven't got stuck together. Why is that? Well, let's have a look. Let's see what keeps them apart. Milk bottle top. Just throw it in the bottom. Milk bottle top. Anything. Just put it in the bottom of the bucket before you stack them, and they will not stick together. Anything at all. Small pebble, anything. I tend to use these bottle tops, and they don't stick together. So that's just a tip before we get started. Right, okay. Let's move these to one side and start drilling these water buckets. And what you're going to need, obviously, is a drill. That's pretty obvious. And my choice of drill bit, it's about 1/4 of an inch. I'm not 100% certain on the size of that, but it looks 1/4 of an inch drill bit. Okay. Turn your bucket upside down. Okay. Do not drill that. The reason I don't want you to drill that is the drill will follow through, it'll split the bottom of that bucket. So we're going to drill it. Well, we're not. We're going to use this one as a support. And we're going to drill this one. Okay. In the past, I've used this block of wood, and I think you can see from it, it's well used. I've simply sat it on there, put the next bucket over the top, bish, bash, bosh. 4 holes. Was a short of a bosh there. Bish, bash, bosh, bosh. 4 holes. And that wooden block under the base of this bucket supports the base, and so you don't split it. But I've got a bit professional since I first done this. And I've made myself a block that sits better. But this worked. This worked. It's no problem. But I made that. How good's that? And I think you can see there are a few small holes in there where I've actually used it before. And then we'll pop this on top like this. That is solid. That is solid. Okay, now we're just going to produce these holes in 4 positions like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. How's that? And so on and on and on and on, and that's it. Okay, and when you get to your very last bucket, then use one that's already drilled, pop that on top, pop that on top. Let's do this one because we've got it set up. 1, 2, 3, before. How quick was that? How quick was that? And no split bottoms. So that's the way I do it. You may want to do it another way, but that's the way I do it. Okay, so this is homegrown veg, signing out. Did you enjoy that? Right, we're nearly finished. Last question. Another question that usually comes up. Let me just move this bucket out of shot and move this bucket into shot. This is one of my strawberry plants. It was a Beetroot strawberry that I got through the internet earlier this year. If you've not seen the video I popped up, have a look at that if you're interested in strawberries and Beetroot plants. Boy, that was a disaster. Rammed through the letterbox. You should have seen them when I took those strawberry plants out. It was unbelievable. I don't know what I called that video. Something like Strawberry Plant Massacre. Well, anyway, I'm digressing. I've got quite a few strawberry plants growing now. I've never grown them before, not in buckets, not like this, not in the greenhouse, not from Beetroot plants, and I don't know what to expect really. They're just sitting at the moment, putting some new shoots up, and I don't know whether these will fruit in spring, summer, autumn. I've no idea, but we'll find out, won't we? Yeah, we'll find out. But that's not the question, and I have digressed. This is the question. Let me turn this round. So those numbers, everybody wants to know, where did you get your numbers? Right, well, let me tell you what I used them for first. It was to identify what was ever in the bucket. So I'd put a number on and write down against the number as a record what I'm growing in the bucket. To be honest, I haven't been that diligent. I just haven't. But it would work, you know, it would work if I put the effort into it. But anyway, I got these sticky numbers, right? So, where did I get these sticky numbers? Right, before I show you these, let me tell you. Many years ago, when I worked in an engineering workshop, the numbers had been ordered in. They came in strips of 10, something that was not picked up at the time of ordering, and as a consequence there were more numbers than places to stick them. Needless to say, I volunteered to give them a good home. So the numbers actually, there was more than they needed. I'm not too sure they were fit for purpose, and they just wanted to throw them out, get rid of them in a spring clean. So I picked a bundle up and brought them home. I thought, yeah, they'll come in handy for something, and they've come in handy for marking these pots. Now you get 10 on a strip. Then you just peel them off and stick them on, peel them off and stick them on, and they seem to last for ages. So I'm telling you where I got them, but I honestly couldn't tell you where you can get them. Perhaps if you look in some of the engineering catalogues, you may find these. But just remember when you order them, if you do order them, if they're in strips of 10, you order some threes, you're going to get 10 threes. You order 2 threes, you're going to get 20 threes. You know what I mean? I think that's where the mistake was made by whoever ordered these in the first place. I think I've sorted all the questions out that I get on my buckets. Now I'm going to ask you a question. I hope you can see this. Let me bring that bucket back in. I bought some bags, some fibre bags. I've never used them before, not this type of bag. And I'm going to use them for the first time when the growing season comes. And what I found is this particular size of bag, when I fill this bucket with soil or compost and pour it into this bag, it's the same size, it holds the same amount. So this will nicely hold about 10 litres, just as this will hold 10 litres. So my plan is to grow potatoes in these, carrots in these, carrots in these, onions in these, onions in these, leeks in these, leeks in these. And I want to do that to see if one is better than the other. I have no idea whether it will be. I don't. Now, one of the selling points of these fibre bags, and I'm not too sure whether this will work favourably, is that they air prune. Have you heard of air pruning? I'm sure you've heard of air pruning if you're a regular gardener. If you've just started, maybe not. Apparently what happens is that the roots of the plant come to the sides of the container, try to break through, and because this is fibre, they can actually start to poke through. And when they get in contact with the air prunes them, it takes them off, forcing the plant to put more roots down. At least that's the theory. That's the theory. Now I've seen this type of bag used with onions and leeks, but I've never seen it used with anything else. And I'm not too sure if air pruning is something that would be beneficial to, say, potatoes or carrots or beetroot. I don't know if that would be beneficial. So it may actually be to the detriment of the vegetables growing in there. And the other thing that they say about these is there's no drainage holes needed because the water can escape through the fabric. The fabric's breathable, it lets the water out. Okay, so you're unlikely to overwater, but they are likely to dry out, and they're likely to dry out because the water can escape, but also wind striking the side of this fabric will penetrate it and start to dry out what's inside. So when you make a comparison and we talk about drying out of containers, the bucket, the only surface area exposed is the top of the bucket, and as the wind goes across it, probably draws moisture, dries the bucket out. When we look at this, the wind will grow across the top and draw moisture out, but it'll also go through the sides and draw moisture out. So I might have an issue with these in terms of watering I'm fairly sure I will need to keep a close eye on these. But what I'd like you to do, if you've ever grown in these fibre bags, particularly if you've grown things like potatoes and carrots, let me know how you got on. Let me know if there is an issue with watering. And yeah, I'll be better informed before the season kicks off. But anyway, I'm going to do it. I mean, I will be doing it because I've got the bags, but I'd like to be a bit more confident about what I'm doing. And if you've used them and they've been a success, just let me know. If you used them and they haven't been a success, let me know as well. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. I think I've told you everything there is to tell about those 10-inch water buckets, and I've asked some questions as well. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out.